comes to this war that you and I are engaged in, a war that is more manifested in the spirit than in the physical, it's as important to have a clean and pure heart as it is to have a sharp and ready sword. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10 Minute Torah, day number 5 of the Torah portion Teitze, when you go out. And Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse number 9 says, when the camp goes out against your enemies, then you shall guard yourself from every evil matter. What is the Torah trying to ask us to observe? Well, what follows here is that a man may be unclean due to the emission of body fluids. Let's put it that way. He is not physically unclean so much as he is ritually unclean. This is not a sin issue. There are times due to the emission of a body fluid, blood or semen or other issues, that it renders a man or a woman unclean, not sinful, unclean. We're talking about ritual status. And so Yah is saying that even in physical warfare, one must guard themselves that they are pure, pure-hearted, and that they are in a state of being clean. Why is that? Well, it's also connected concerning one who goes outside the camp to relieve themselves, that they take a digging instrument to dig a hole, they relieve themselves into the hole, and then they cover behind themselves. The reason being is that Yah walks through the midst of the camp of Am Israel. The camp, therefore, must not be defiled by human refuse lying on the ground. It must be covered. The same principle then applies to the act of going into warfare. Yah says over and again, I go before you to upset, to disarray, to scatter, to overcome your enemies before you get on the field. So what we're saying then is that this is a reality. This is not just a concept or a theory or an idea. This is not a feel-good sentiment. Yah is saying very clearly, I literally am on the field with you. Therefore, you must be clean and set apart, even in the act of warfare. Now, if that is true, during the days of Israel going in and physically conquering multiple nations, knowing that those who go on to the battlefield must be even ritually pure, not just physically, but ritually pure, then how much more does this principle apply then to those that are engaged in the war that is in the spirit? Now, there's another principle of warfare that is given to us in the following chapter, in chapter 24. It says in verse number 5, when a man has taken a new wife, let him not go out into the army, nor let any matter be imposed on him. He shall be exempt 1 year for the sake of his home, to rejoice with his wife whom he has taken. This principle is that which follows a discourse about marriage and divorce. That is, that there is a need that a man makes sure before he engages in warfare, physical or spiritual, and especially spiritual, that he is in right relationship with his spouse, with his wife. Now, the Torah principle is that if a man takes a wife and then he finds out she's not a virgin, she was supposed to be a virgin. In his estimation, in her pledge to him, she was, but then he finds out she's not. Then there is an option that he may give her a writing of a get, a gimel tet, a get, which is a bill of divorcement. he then may put her away. Now, it says that if she marries another man and for whatever reason he hates her and divorces her, the first husband may not go back and take her as his wife. There's a powerful teaching on Yeshua here. Mike Clayton has done a great job on that. You might want to check his website for that teaching. Here is an understanding, though. Anyone who's been married any length of time knows that it is the most wonderful, glorious institution on the face of the earth. It's everything that anyone can promote it to be. However, because there are human beings involved, especially male human beings involved, there can be issues. Men do not understand women, and at times women fail to understand men. And because of this, there can be issues. There can be discord. There can be situations where you just simply don't get along. You stay on your side of the house, I stay on mine. We've all been through perhaps some of those scenarios. However, when it comes then to engaging in prayer, one needs to reconcile and make sure that their prayer life is not being hindered. Rav Shul writes to us that if we're going to fast, let it be for a specified period of time and agreed to between the spouses. Because if you're going to fast, then you're also going to fast from marital relations. Let that be agreed upon. So then it does not present problems and it hinder your prayer life. Relationships, just as much as a state of ritual or physical impurity, can cause you problems when you're engaged in the act of warfare. And again, we're talking primarily here about the spiritual arena. Why is this the case? Remember that the one that we're fighting against, the one that is our adversary, he is the accuser of the brethren. So, we stand before the throne of Yah. We're interceding for Israel. We're interceding for our nations. We're interceding for our communities, our cities. The list goes on. We're making a bold claim to what the Word says. Father, you said in your Word, and we're laying hold of that promise, those covenant understandings. And then the accuser of our brethren and of ourselves stands and begins to point the finger. They're praying and blessing and asking your favor upon people, and they have aught against them. Or they're not in right relationship with their spouse. They've been yelling and screaming at their husband, their wife, and now they want to come and plead the efficacy of Yeshua's blood over a particular given situation. We stand accused. Perhaps it's some kind of defilement that we've entertained. These things must be dealt with, must be overcome, so that when we stand before the throne of the Most High, that our warfare be effective. No one wants to go onto the battlefield without understanding that victory is not just plausible, but it is in fact going to happen. Yeshua said that a wise king does not go into warfare without figuring out first, how many men is it going to take? How much of an effort is it going to take to engage in this act of war? Sometimes we fight out of desperation. The battle is suddenly thrust on us, and we don't know whether we're ready for it or not, but we have no choice. We have to rise to the occasion. All the more important then, we not just say, well, Father, I hope you overlook all of the sin that I did yesterday or all of the yelling and screaming and people I did yesterday, but rather that we walk circumspectly and uprightly, because you never know when you're going to be forced to draw out the sword of the Spirit and go into battle. Be prepared, instant in season and out of season. May Yah help us on this Shabbat to be set apart and ready to embrace it. And with that said, Shabbat Shalom to you, to your family, to all those that will gather with you. Again, once more, may Yah's presence meet with you. May you be edified. May you be able to edify others. May you grow in Him and find His rest, His peace, His shalom. May you be healed and filled with great joy. Thank you for those that are writing, commenting, encouraging, for those who support and who pray for us. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next week. Until then, shalom.